You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 81 of Teach Better Talk. I'm Ray Hewart, and as always, I'm with the radio DJ, Jeff Gargis.
The radio DJ?
Well, I was talking to our two guests that we have on this podcast, Adam and Lynn, and they both agreed that you would make for a really great, reality show radio DJ.
You're listening to WTBT, Teach Better Talk Radio, like that?
Exactly. I think Adam Welcome's words were specifically that you would be the guy on the other end that would prank call your friends, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Adam and I are going to have a show sometime where literally we're just gonna prank call all of Adam's friends. I think I'm actually adjusting that. I think what we're actually gonna do is we're just gonna prank call Ryan Sheehy again and again and again and again, just like every 5 to 10 minutes, and just mess with Ryan the whole time.
Do I have to be a part of that show too, or can
No. Adam and I got it. I mean, well, it'll be great. If you don't know already, if you're listening, you don't know already that Ryan and Adam have a podcast, the Ask Adam and Ryan show. So it kind of makes sense. We're just gonna prank call Ryan the whole time.
Okay, during that time, I'm gonna take a nap because I'm so tired today.
You are tired today, huh?
I am, and I don't like telling people that because I think I have kind of a reputation to uphold that I'm this peppy, positive, bouncing off the wall kind of person, and I'm sleepy.
Well, two things is one, you probably shouldn't have said it on this podcast.
Bummer.
And two, now everyone gets to know that you're really just kind of a pain and just ornery all the time. And
I am human.
It's rough.
Sorry.
So one thing, I think this is why you're tired and you're not as super excited maybe, is because this is the first episode in a little bit that we've recorded that we're not in the same room. And honestly, it's a little bit sad, right?
Yeah, it's way easier to pick on you and make fun of you when you're sitting in front of me.
Yeah, we did the first, 78 episodes like this, virtually. You in Illinois, me in Ohio, or sometimes we were in different cities, but always virtual. In the last two episodes, 79 and 80, we did live from on the road. One in Akron at the APS 3T conference, and then the other one, the most recent episode with Mike Muhammad over at Summer Spark in Wisconsin, because the last couple weeks have been a little bit crazy. We've been all over the place. You've been really all over the place. And a lot of driving, a lot of travel around, and we were at conferences and learning and growing and running PD, and it's been super cool. But now, I kind of miss you, Ray. I'm not going to lie.
Well, that's so sweet. I'm so glad we have that on recording, that you miss me. No, to be honest, I think I was kind of nervous to record live when we did that while we were traveling. I was worried about, I'll pretend I was worried about the sound quality, but really, I was like, can we still be funny if we're sitting across the table? But I think we did okay, Jeff.
I think the key was that we tried hard not to, we didn't want to look at the guests because that makes them nervous, and we were already surrounding them because we typically put them in a chair in the middle of us and did it. So we were kind of looking away, and I think that did. If we were just looking at each other, then we'd have sort of mean face at each other and reacting, and it wouldn't have been nearly as fun. It's nice right now because I can just imagine that you're always smiling and super excited to just be talking to me.
Yeah,
so
sure.
When I make a joke, I just assume you're hitting the mute button because you're laughing so hard. So it makes it easy to do.
My favorite comment was after our 80th recording, we were walking downstairs because we recorded this at a conference in a room. So we finished our recording, walked downstairs, and our guest literally turns to us and says, "Oh, I thought this bantering just happened on the podcast. This is all the time, huh?"
Yeah, he's like, so it's not an act. You guys are just always like this. It's been funny because we've had this. You referenced it a couple weeks ago on an Instagram story, and then it's been mentioned time and time again how we kind of have this brother-sister thing, and I think that's awesome. So it's really cool. And it was really fun to do two live recordings with you. That was a blast. I think we'll do some more at the Teach Better conference when you're out here as well, live, hopefully from there. But what got me really excited, and I think, I wanted to kind of come back to this. We were on the road for a couple of weeks at all these different conferences with all these amazing educators learning and growing and everything. And I think one of the things that you and I have talked about a few times, and Adam actually touched on it today in this episode, on how like we need to always be connecting. We need to always be learning, always be growing. It can't just stop, and those relationships that you build can't just end when the conference is done. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you agree with what I'm saying here?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like we were in a different state for 2 weeks every day, and
Mm-hmm.
we connected with all these people. But just like this episode's focus is yeah, it's great to connect with somebody in person. It's great to meet them in person, but that can't be where it ends.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in this together. We're all trying to learn and grow and to empower each other, and we can't do that by connecting for a couple days at a conference and then that's it. I mean, there's a lot of people who are at ISTE right now making awesome connections, and I hope if you are at ISTE and you're listening to this or you're listening to this right after you get home, don't let those connections just go to nothing. Make sure that you're following up with people and reaching out and figuring out ways that you can connect and talk and chat. Who knows? Maybe you'll start a podcast together. Maybe you'll write a book together. Maybe you'll create a course together. Like, I mean, that person might be able to provide you with something that completely changes the way you teach, but that might not happen for 6 months until you guys get to know each other and stuff. I think it's really cool. You know, you and I met on Twitter.
Yeah, it's funny, Jeff. I am interrupting you, but I don't know if we could say this on a podcast, but I don't really care. We're breaking the rules. But we got our draft back from our book today.
Oh, yeah, we did.
And we're kind of like reading through the final edits before it goes to, the final pieces of getting it out at the end of August for the Teach Better book. And I was literally just reading the section of how I tell the story of how you and I connected. And it's amazing that so many people are making connections on social media that then transform. Like, I describe it in my book as like an enormous moment, life-changing moment of my life, because you really did change a lot of my day-to-day, Jeff Gargis.
Well, you're welcome, I think, hopefully.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
What can I say except you're welcome? No? Okay. Anyway, I can't help but not go there when I say those words. So let's talk about this episode. This was a really cool episode. I love when we get to do like slightly different episodes, like when we have two guests like this. This was a cool one doing. We had two guests. They just happened to be co-authors of a brand new book, Empower Our Girls, which is just like flying off the bookshelves, both physical and digitally, and phenomenal. And they dive a little bit into it, but they touched on we kind of touched on some of the things that they've already touched on in this episode. So let me give a quick, or if you don't already know Adam Welcome, you probably know him from his smash hit book Kids Deserve It, that he wrote with Todd Neslony, a phenomenal book. Adam then also wrote Run Like a Pirate, and now this co-authored with Lynn. But Adam will tell you anytime you ask him that he is a teacher. He's still a teacher, although he works now with teachers, so his students have changed. But Adam's been a classroom a teacher, a principal, a director of innovation, and I think an inspiration and a motivator to so many people around the world. He was on episode 30, so if you haven't listened to episode 30 of Teach Better Talk, it is phenomenal with Adam Welcome. And then we also got to have a second guest, and it's Lynn Colón, who co-wrote the book with Adam, and their story of how they kind of came together and everything is really cool. But Lynn is actually the director of English learning programs and services in Northern Virginia. So this is a school division of over 90,000 students that she works with. She's been a principal, an assistant principal, a teacher, and a social worker. She is really cool, and she'll tell you that she's super passionate about just education in general, but also creating experiences where all students have the access to what she just always refers to as a magical experience. And super cool energy between the two of them. I really loved a lot of the stuff that they talk about. When Lynn talks about being intentional, I wrote it down. I circled it 4 times. It's really, really cool. Ray, anything in particular standing out from this episode that you want to make sure everyone listens for?
I think it's just more around the fact that Adam Welcome is doing incredible things for education, and his focus on connecting people is outstanding. I was thrilled through him to be connected to Lynn, and she is just an inspiration. I really hope that as you listen to their stories, that you not just obviously take in the excitement of the movement that they are a part of in education, but also pick up their book and really support these educators who are doing amazing things, because this is only the beginning for them and only the beginning for you. So I hope you enjoyed the episode.
Let's get into it. Episode number 81 with Lynn Colón and Adam Welcome. All right, so we are here and we are talking. We got a special episode today with two very special guests. We have Adam, welcome, and we've got Lynn, Colón. And Adam, you're back from episode 30 when you were on here, so it's been 51 episodes since that. And Lynn,
Dang,
first time on.
busy.
Yeah, we've been going a little bit here, Ray. I don't know if you noticed, but we've done a lot of podcast episodes.
It's been wonderful working with you, Jeff Gargas.
We're super excited to have both of you on. Before we go any further, how are you guys feeling right now?
I'm super excited.
Good.
Yeah, rocking and rolling. Love recording a podcast. I was in person with Ray last week. We hung out at a conference, went for a run. It was great. So it's great to be hanging out with you all today.
I'm so glad it's documented that I went on a run. Thank God
It was on
that.
Well, to be honest, it was on Instagram stories, and as you know, stories go away after 24 hours. But I kept the video, so we have that for down the road,
that proof,
just to reproduce and kind of put back out there.
That's important. And Adam, I don't know if you know or not, but like as you were on the road from We Are Richmond going to Illinois, I'm pretty sure Chad and I passed you going down to We Are Richmond. And
all I remember from that 5.5 hour drive is corn and soybeans and corn. So, I'm glad that you were there in spirit, but I was not thinking about you. I was thinking about all the corn and all the soybeans that I was driving.
I just waved the entire time out the window just in case. So, that's where I was at.
This is ridiculous. All right, let's get back on track here, people.
So I want to make sure that we talk about each of you to make sure our listeners kind of know a lot about you, and we're going to have some good times today. So I want to make sure that they kind of have your backstory. So Lynn, I want to start with you. Would you mind telling us a little about yourself and kind of what type of response you would normally give if somebody asked you what you do?
Oh, awesome. So I'm the current director of English Learner Programs and Services in Northern Virginia, a division of over 90,000 students, which 29,000 are English learners, and we have 140 languages spoken in our division.
Wow.
When people ask me, what is it that you do? I usually say I serve out of purpose because I'm an English learner myself. So it's been really neat just to influence the policies and regs that are impacting our schools and just serving other leaders and teachers and sharing my story of what an English learner is and that they can too learn.
Lynn, it's been so great getting to know you. I actually connected with you through Adam, which Adam, we'll get to you in a second. You're going to have to wait. But it's so cool to kind of see all the things you're pushing out to the teachers that have connected with you. And I just really appreciate all that you've shared, whether it be on Instagram or any other social media platform. It's been really interesting.
Oh, thank you.
So Adam, I'm going to flip the question to you. I want to hear how you would normally answer kind of what you do. What's your backstory?
Well, historically, I've been a teacher and a principal and a director of innovation, and just been kind of like doing speaking and just kind of hustling for years and years. And now I just kind of turned my side hustle into my main hustle, and I just have the opportunity to travel and speak with just school groups and conferences across the country, and that's basically my job. I still feel like I'm a teacher. I tell people I just have different students, which I'm always a teacher. I'm still a teacher. Even when I was a principal, I was a teacher. And I also kind of think of myself as a connector. I love just connecting people across the country because it's all about who you know and what you know, but really who you know, and just opening doors for people and just being the best you so you can be the best for your students, which it all trickles back down to the kids. That's what I always try to keep my frame of reference on.
I love that, Adam. You've always said that, even way back on episode 30 of Teach Better Talk, we had you on. You said you similarly came back to that. I'm always a teacher. My students have just changed, but it all comes back to making sure that the kids in the end are the focus. And I love that about you and your story and where you're at and how you view things. One part that you didn't add there is that you're also somewhat of an author. Kids Deserve It is just a fairly decent book that's been out for a while and was massive seller. Run Like a Pirate is one of my favorite books all time now. I'm putting you out there all time. And you can ask Ray, this is not the first time I've said that on this podcast. It's probably annoying at this point how often I bring it up. But a great read there. And now you and Lynn have come together and created a phenomenal book called Empower Our Girls. So Lynn, I'm going to turn to you. Can you give us the rundown? If I'm just being introduced, this is the first time I've heard this book title, Empower Our Girls. What's it all about? What can I expect? Why should I get it? Who's it for? Can you give us the rundown of that?
Sure. It's for everyone. It's for everyone, really. It's not something that's only for girls. It's for teachers, for administrators, for people who just want to make a change. I think that we've come a long way, but there's some work that needs to be done. It's stories. It has powerful stories of people who have removed roadblocks for our girls to be successful in some ways. We're challenging people's thinking, just to see empowering girls again in a different way. One example is take a look at your library. How many books do you have that represent female leaders? I also share a lot about my story of some insecurities, right, and questioning my worth at times, and then how that has carried me through the power of mentors, and also the relationship with Adam and how that has impacted me to be where I'm at today. So it's a book for anyone who wants to be inspired and wants to be part of this work of empowering girls.
And Adam, would you add anything to that? Would you say that in a different light? What's your viewpoint of the book and what we should expect?
Yeah, ditto from what Lynn said. And this book started for me like years ago. And I'll tell you just the origin story quickly. I talk about it in the book, but I was a brand new elementary school principal, and I have a daughter and a son, and my daughter was about 18 months old. And I decided to teach a coding class, offer a coding class at my school. And I had 20 kids sign up. And I look at the Google form and the spreadsheet responses, and I only had one girl. One out of 20 students was a female. And it really hit me in the face, like straight in the forehead. And like, why was this? How come there weren't more, female students willing to or comfortable with signing up to learn from their male principal? And really, since then, I've just kind of, as an administrator and as a teacher, been on a mission to bring all kids, as Lynn said, but really a focus on girls into the conversation and into the conversation with teachers. Are we including them? Are you calling on girls proportionately to male students? And this is not a new phenomenon. There are studies out there. There are other books outside of education that talk about this. And, Lynn and I have been friends for many years, and we just felt that we needed to kind of wrap our arms around this idea and really this problem in schools and society, and just do something about it. So we did. You can complain about something, you can talk about something, or you can do something about it. And Lynn and I decided to do something about it.
Oh, I love that, because complaining with no idea or no at least suggestion or thought of how to fix what you're complaining about just drives me crazy.
Complaining is not a strategy, Jeff,
no,
at all.
It's not. It drives me crazy. I talk about this all the time. Like I hate Sunday nights on my Facebook feed because it's just nothing but people complaining about the fact that tomorrow is work.
Mm-hmm.
And it drives me nuts. I'm like, go find something else to do. Fix it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
especially if you're a teacher. If you're complaining about work and you're a teacher, then you might not like kids. You got to go find something else.
You may want to consider something else. Yeah, exactly.
Dang.
So
yeah.
Hey everyone, we're going to get right back to the episode. However, I do want to mention that our Teach Better conference is underway and you can start registering, but I might have a little discount code for you. So as you head over to teachbetterconference.com and sign up for the amazing event that we are having November 8th and 9th, make sure you use Podcast Talk as your $50 discount code. Now let's get back to the episode.
So I know, Ray and I have a fun story of how we met, and we argue back and forth about who tells it better. But
I tell it better.
Yeah, Ray of course thinks she tells it better. I'm gonna flip it to Lynn. Can you share? Adam, you mentioned that you guys have been connected for a while. Lynn, you shared earlier how you guys got connected. Can you kind of tell us the story of like how did you connect with Adam, and then from your end, sort of what led to this idea of with you, Lynn, when he brought you this idea of the book and what you guys decided to do here?
Okay, so I hope I can do justice to the story, but I think so Adam started the Principles in Action Voxer group, and I remember him just posting it on Twitter, and we connected that way. And then I was part of the Principles in Action group. He won an award in DC, and I live like 20 miles outside of DC. So he came to the school and read to the kids, and mainly we chatted on Voxer. But from that moment on, it was just like instant, this connection, a lot of mentoring and me asking questions, and him, just, Adam, like, you can do it. Yeah, go after it. So then, and I talk a little bit about this in the book, I received this email, and you know how you get emails all the time from companies, and I was not very familiar with the National Board Association, and I had won the 20 to watch. And when I scroll down, and I always get emotional because this means so much to me. Someone that had visited my school a day and that I had connected on social media had nominated me. So yeah, that's just like the start, and then it's like a brotherly kind of relationship. But yeah, I don't know, Adam. What do you want to? I
Yeah,
get emotional
Lynn,
because I.
Lynn is very humble in her storytelling. I took the most expensive Uber ride I've ever taken. It was like $150 or $75, and to go visit her school. And Ray and I know each other well, and Jeff and I know each other well too. And what I would say is, I know a lot of people, but I keep my circle very tight. Where with the people that I know, there's a much tighter, smaller circle, and everybody on this podcast is within that circle that I really kind of like let into my personal life. And I could just tell from Lynn, from interactions on social media and interactions on Voxer, which really deepen the conversation because you're able to have a conversation. I could tell that she was just an amazing person. And after spending the most of the day at her school and really seeing how Lynn connected with students and how Lynn connected with teachers, and what she was doing with technology and what she was doing with literacy and the library, and really not taking no for an answer and not taking good enough for a response. She was really bringing her school to a really amazing place. So when I went to go nominate her for this award, it's a very prestigious award. 20 people every year across the country get this award. It's the National School Board Association. And, and that's really, again, another step in like, hey, it's not just empower our girls. It's not just girls empowering girls or women empowering women. It's everybody looking out for everybody. It was just such a natural choice for myself to like, hey, I've seen this woman firsthand. She's an amazing leader. And you know what, like this, it was an easy choice, I'm sure, for the council too, because Lynn got the award because they read what I wrote. And I know they were probably thinking this person's amazing and she's doing amazing work. And that continues. And Lynn's not a principal anymore. She's now a director of a huge school district. And I think that message, and hopefully we did it justice in the book, where it's not just women helping girls, it's everybody helping everybody, because that's really the message that I want to convey. So that's our origin story. It was the best Uber ride I ever took to go meet somebody. It was like a blind date, even though Lynn is correct. We are like a brother and sister, but it was like, okay, like we never met before, but you're in this Uber and you're like, hey, and like, like the first time you meet somebody on from social media in person, you feel like you know them. And 20 years ago, that would have been really weird because this stuff didn't exist. But now with technology and social media, we can have those, those relationships and those interactions because of the world that we live in. So I feel lucky to like live now when we live. I'm glad I wasn't born in the 1950s because, hey, you get to know so many more people. It's really cool. So,
what we have and the opportunities we have are absolutely amazing. Hey, Ray.
What?
Did you catch at the very beginning of that we're in the inner circle? I just want to make sure you were aware of. You got that? Okay, good.
Oh, I'm over here freaking out. I'm trying to think.
It's recorded. It's on there.
You guys are crazy.
Well, Adam, I have to tell you, like, hearing you talk about yourself, but then also about Lynn and the connection that you guys formed first with social media and then in person. It's so funny because you really live what you preach. And I want our listeners to really understand that, not to toot your horn or make you blush, but there really is something special about an educator, a person who values connecting other people to other great people. I think this mentality of not just going around and speaking and sharing your story and hearing other people's story, but then taking it one step further and making connections for other people to grow is so incredibly powerful. It's something I really enjoy about you. And Lynn, I can't wait. Someday we are going to meet in person. Just wait. It's going to happen. And we can have a very similar experience. But in terms of getting me excited about education, the concept of connecting with people is something that I am constantly excited about as people start connecting in person and virtually to further their growth in education. I kind of want to throw the question back at you. And Adam, I'm going to start with you first. Of all the things going on in education right now, what's really fueling your fire?
Yeah, you saw me speak this week, Ray, in Illinois. So people ask me all the time, like, what is the most important thing in education? What is the next kind of big thing coming in education? And I always tell them the same thing. It's relationships. Because all of this technology that we have now, it's going to change. It's going to go away. It's going to ebb and flow. All the new hot this, the new hot that, the new strategy. You take all of that away, and at the core of it, you have relationships. You have relationships with the adults. You have building relationships with the students, and I think people don't talk about this enough. The relationships with parents in the school community. There's a lot of angst right now in the media, but also on a local level with parents and with community members and with politicians. And I feel like, hey, maybe we need to do a better job with building those relationships so people actually understand what we're trying to do in our schools, because absent of information, people make up information. And maybe as a school system and as school communities, maybe, there's always room for growth, but maybe we really need to look at that closer, because when people know what's going on and they know what you're doing, they may have questions, but at least if they have the information, at least they can make a more educated kind of like proposal of what's going on. And if there are questions and they have a good relationship with you, hopefully they're going to feel comfortable to come to you with more questions. So long answer short, relationships. That's the most important thing.
Lynn, we're going to have to stop you and not let you say that relationships is really fueling your fire. If I flip this question to you, do you think that on top of relationships, do you have something else that's also getting you excited about education?
I would agree with Adam. I think for me is the belief that all kids can, regardless of where they come from. I just came from ISTE, and some people were shocked that someone in my role was so excited about technology for students who don't speak the language. And that's something that I just can't understand sometimes. And I know that for special education students or students in poverty or students who speak another language, they're seen from a deficit lens. So just bringing that awareness of these students can too, if you have the right relationships, is something that has me excited. And the fact that I'm an English learner myself and I can share my story and let them know, hey, if I can do it, so can they. It's pretty powerful. So I'm excited about that.
That's extremely powerful. I want to touch on Adam. Something you said. I got to see Joe Sanfilippo for the first time live. Who did a great job keynoting at Summer Spark, and he talked about. He said something similar to what you just said, is that if you don't share your story, people will just make up their own story about you if they don't have all the info. And one thing he talked about with schools is that a lot of people form their ideas and their thoughts and their opinions on school based on what happened to them 20, 30, 40 years ago when they were in school. And our schools are not the same. So it's so important to build that relationship with your community, with your stakeholders, with your students, everything, to make sure that you're telling the right story and that they understand what's truly going on. So I love that, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a quick example. I was in 6 states in the last 2 weeks speaking, and I was in one state working with a school group. And that question kind of came up, and I turned it around. It was a whole bunch of administrators. And I said, well, what are you doing to tell people what you're doing and just share with people? And, well, we have a newsletter. And I put my hand to my ear and I said, hey, 1985, they want their newsletter back. It's not how people communicate, and it's not how people get information. And holy heck, like I said before, this is an amazing time to be alive, an amazing time to be an educator. If our kids get home and the parents don't know at least one thing that happened at school that day, I think it's our fault and we didn't share enough with the community. God dang, it's so easy with Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and making a movie and putting it on YouTube, and you don't even need to do it. The kids can help you share the story of what they're doing. And when kids are doing it, how can you argue with kids? Adults will argue with an adult, and an adult will attack an adult. But I have yet to see an adult or a community member argue or an attack a student if they are sharing that story. So I think that's a really, again, bring it back to the kids. That's a really, really important thing to think about.
Absolutely. And I heard when I was listening to your keynote last week, I think when you say things like that, it makes everyone like sit back in their seats and reflect like, oh, what did I do at the end of my year? What am I planning to do at the beginning of my year to mirror that? Because there is an ownership that educators are beginning to see that, it's not just about communicating home with parents when we pretend that it's parent-teacher conferences, but in the world that we live in where content is so accessible, you need to continuously be somebody who celebrates the amazing things going on in classrooms.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So what advice do teachers need? What advice do our teachers need that whether they are reading your book and they're striving to empower those around them, making connections, being in this progressive mentality of utilizing the resources that we have around us and not living in the past, what advice do our educators need to really move forward?
I will say, be intentional and pay attention. I was sitting with a group of girls that invited me for cookies and lemonade, and a small group, 5 girls, and there was one that was really really quiet, and the other ones were dominating the group, and that stayed with me. So at the end of the conversation, I pulled her aside and I had a conversation with her about, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up and things like that. And she wanted to be a cop, right? But she felt afraid of sharing that during the small group. So I think when you have a classroom of a lot of students or you have them in a big room, we're not intentional about paying attention to that quiet one, and that was me. And it just, insecurity creeps in for whatever reason. You start telling yourself this story of, I'm not good enough to raise my hand, and in the process you just lose the opportunity to learn how to speak and just share your voice with others. So teachers can control that if they're intentional, and as a society, just pay attention to those girls that are quiet. We have a couple of action items in the book that I think can help with the movement and inspire people to just be intentional about empowering girls.
Yeah, and I would just add, it's once you think about it and once you notice it, it it comes to the front. And it's like, I just bought a new car, and I see my new car all over town wherever I go. And I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone has a white Subaru Outback just like me. And those cars were always there. But now, since I have that car, since it's on my conscience and I'm thinking about it, I'm seeing it. So much. It's not like, here's 25 things you need to do and you need to like redesign your entire classroom and start from scratch, because that's not feasible and that's not doable and that's not what is needed. It's, oh, okay, like I'm going to take one paragraph or one chapter from the book or one lesson, or I'm going to take these 3 students today and really think about them and think about how to like move the needle for them. And once it's kind of on your mind, you're going to change it. And, funny quick story. Obviously Dave Burgess published our book, Dave and Shelley Burgess wrote the foreword. And let me tell you, it is amazing. Like, it gave me chills the first time she sent it to Lynn and I to read. And it was funny because when Lynn and I were talking to Shelley about the project and just kind of working through some questions and kind of framing our voice, we talked about one of the chapters, and I'm not going to give it away because people can read the book and see what I'm talking about. But she said, you know what, I read that chapter, and in the last week, I've caught myself doing what you talk about, or I've heard other people doing what you talk about. And it's such a simple little idea and a simple little word. It's one word that we use when we address a group of people, but that just brought it to her brain. And I mean, Shelley Burgess, who's an amazing person, she's a former teacher and principal and assistant superintendent. But like, until it's brought to your attention so many times, because in society we accept things and we just continue with status quo. So think big, but act small. I think that's a really important thing to think about. And don't wait 3 years. You can make changes tomorrow or next week or next month. Little small changes add up to really big change over time.
Dude, I'm loving that. Be intentional, think big, act small, don't waste time, don't wait. This is gold. This is a great episode. I'm glad we brought you guys on. This was good. So let's now we're gonna flip it. We'll see what you really made of here. So we're gonna do the next 6 questions, and your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. And here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have Lynn. We're gonna have you go first.
Okay.
And then we're gonna see how Adam does following up. How's that? He's not allowed to take any of your answers or anything either. He's got to come up with all new ones. Good?
Jeff, do you have your stopwatch ready?
I've got my stopwatch.
I just want to make sure, Adam and Lynn, that you have this visual. Like, Jeff is sitting with his mic with like a sweatband around his head and a stopwatch. And he's like amped up, ready to go.
Oh my gosh. The Teach Better team in full effect here, people.
I need to get a Teach Better Talk podcast sweatband.
You do? I want one too.
To be completely honest, Ray, like if you don't get me that, you're kind of a bad co-host. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Ray needs a sweatband because she ran half a block last week. I completely agree with that notion.
That's very true. All right, okay, let's get serious here. Ready, Lynn?
Let's do it.
What is one ed tech tool you cannot live without?
Google Docs.
Give us a book that you're reading right now.
Radical Candor.
Who's that by?
Oh, I should know. Kim Scott, I think. Yes, I think it's Kim Scott. She worked for Apple and Google. It's amazing. It's about having difficult conversations, but preserving people's integrity.
Nice. Who do we need to follow on Twitter today?
Pete Hall, a good friend. He's doing great work with trauma in schools.
Awesome. What's the best YouTube channel or website for educators?
So I've been watching Goldcast to include in presentations for my staff, inspiring videos that inspire, staff to do the work. So pretty cool one.
Great. And give us one daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
So here goes the influence of Adam. I've been waking up at 4:30 to run. Then I meditate and in the mornings, and I don't skip breakfast.
And what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it enough.
Ooh,
I love that one.
I like that. That's great. Ooh, good luck, Adam.
Lynn, that was like a mic drop. I'm going to write that quote down. That's a good one.
All right. Okay. Adam, you're up, man. What is one ed tech tool you cannot live without?
Evernote. Love Evernote.
Oh, yeah. Give us a book you're reading right now.
Netflixed. It's about Netflix and Blockbuster and how Netflix crushed Blockbuster.
Oh, who's that by? I got to go find that book.
I don't know. Just go to Amazon and type in Netflixed.
That's true. I could just do that.
Yeah.
Who do we need to follow on Twitter today?
Who do you need to follow on
Give us
Twitter?
no more than 3.
You need to follow Megan Lee. It's at teaching_power. Super awesome teacher who lives in Illinois. She was actually at WitCon last week, Ray. And I would say, oh my gosh, there's so many people to follow. Alice Keeler is a good friend of mine, and Alice is like the Google guru, and she will tell you how it is. If you don't want to mix words, reach out to Alice Keeler because she's amazing.
And I just want to say that Megan Lee is also a guest blogger at teachbetter.com, so you can check her out.
Oh, sweet.
Well. Best YouTube channel or website for educators?
You know what? I love YouTube. YouTube is my cable. And I'm going to say I love the Nike YouTube channel because they have so many amazing videos, and they've had some great Empower Our Girls themed videos lately. So they're all appropriate. They're all, general audience rated. So check out the @Nike YouTube channel. They have great, great content.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Check Twitter daily, weekly, and monthly.
And the best piece of advice you've ever received.
Don't take things personal. It's not you, it's them.
Ooh, I like it. I'm interested right now. I need to go see what the best piece of advice Adam gave back on episode 30 was.
I don't know.
I mean, it's not going to beat Lynn, so it doesn't matter.
Lynn's that was good. So
Mine drives the work a lot.
no, it was good. It was don't take yourself too seriously. That was good. I like the mix now, Adam. Those are two good pieces there. Evernote held on strong as the ed tech tool. And Alice Keeler made a comeback again as one to follow on Twitter. Dude's consistent. I like
Adam,
it.
do you like that we psychoanalyze your answers when you're on this podcast?
Well, I mean, I can get it because Jeff did say that Run Like a Pirate is one of his favorite books ever. So I get it. I mean, there's probably a picture of me up in his office. I'm okay with it.
Oh, there is.
Totally fine. It's totally fine, Jeff.
Oh, yeah, I actually made my race medals hanging rack is just your face and just hangs underneath that. No.
So while this got creepy and we're now part of Jeff and Adam's little bromance going on, I want to make sure that if you are still listening, which I'm not sure why you are, but I'm thrilled you are stuck around with us. I want to make sure that you also know how to connect with these goofy educators and make sure that you also go pick up their book. So Lynn, we'll give the boys a minute to breathe, but Lynn, would you mind sharing how people can connect with you?
Sure. So on Twitter, I am at the Colóns. On Instagram, Lynn Mara Cosme. My website is leadwithmagic.com. And then I'm also on Facebook, Lynn Mara Colón Cosme.
Fabulous. And Adam, would you mind sharing how our listeners can get connected to you?
Yeah, Mr. Adam Welcome, Mr. Adam Welcome on everything. Twitter, Instagram, Voxer, MrAdamWelcome.com. You can just Google my name. I'm all over the internet. So that's how you get a hold of me.
And, you can find all the links and resources, everything we talked about in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as those really important links for connecting with both Lynn and Adam. So make sure you head over to teachbetter.com, the show notes for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and review, we'd really, really appreciate that a whole lot. Then let's take this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories from these awesome educators and share this podcast with them. Lynn, so awesome to have you on. Adam, so awesome to have you back on. The book is phenomenal. It's getting just ridiculous reviews everywhere, impacting lives all over, and super excited that you were able to come on, share just a little bit of what we can expect from the book and your story and how you came together and stuff. We truly appreciate both of you, and thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Hey, as a fellow podcaster, I know how fun it is to have a podcast, but also the back end work, and thanks for all that you do as well too, because like we said before, we all need each other. If you think you can do this by yourself, I think you're wrong. And build your team. And the Teach Better team has built an amazing team around themselves and other people. So keep building and keep doing the work. Thanks for all that you do.
We appreciate that a whole lot. Until next time, let's get out there and let's teach better.